What's good here? It's Wrestle Kingdom here, and today we're going to be discussing the recent episode of AEW Dynamite. I'm planning on doing more AEW reviews. Let me know if you want to see more AEW reviews. I'm going to be reviewing the upcoming pay per view AEW Dynasty. So let me know if you want to see more of AEW reviews. But we're going to get straight into it. We start off with Samo Joo making his entrance, about to have a match with Dustin Rose, but Swerve Strickling comes from behind and attacks Samo Joo. Attacks him off the entrance ramp. They're outside. They're on the side of the entrance ramp. They're going back and forth, attacking each other. Samo Joo gets the upper hand, it looks like. Samo Joo sets up a table to try to put to put Swerve Strickland through the table. He grabs Swerve Strickland, but Swerve Strickland ends up reversing it, throwing him toward near the table that Samo Joo set up. But then he ends up spearing Samo Joo through the table. Both guys are completely laid out. Then the security and the refs start splitting them up to separate them. Ends up going backstage. Really love this segment. Cool opening segment. Can't wait for their match at Dynasty. Swerve Strickland and Samo Joo are doing some great work. They're two of my favorite wrestlers of all time. Swerve Strickland is doing some of his best work of his career. Really excited for that match. Swerve Strickland got to take that title off of Samo Joo, but I can't wait for this match. I'm so excited for Dynasty. That match is going to be a banger. But next up, we got Penta versus Adam Copeland. Open challenge for the TNT Championship. This was a very solid match. Really good match. Both competitors put on a good effort. Both competitors put on some really good moves. I really enjoyed. Early on, Penta ended up spearing Edge very early into the match using his own move. Edge ended up kicking out of the spear. Then Penta, after he did the spear, ended up doing a coup de grace onto Edge. Ends up pinning Edge, but Edge, my fault, Adam Copeland. I really got to get used to saying Adam Copeland. I'm so used to calling him Edge that it's been a while since he's been in AEW, and I'm still calling him Edge. I really got to get used to calling him Adam Copeland. So my mistake if I call him Edge throughout this video. Then we get a sequence where Penta ends up doing a suicide dive flip onto Adam Copeland on the outside. Adam Copeland's on the outside. The ref is counting. He gets the 9. He's about to get the 10 count, but Adam Copeland ends up getting into the ring right before the ref counts to 10. And then Penta is going outside the ring after, Edge ends up getting back in the ring. Edge is exhausted. He's laid on the ground. Penta ends up pulling Edge body. Half of his upper half is on the outside of the ring. The lower half is inside the ring. And Penta ends up kicking the back of Edge's neck. That was very sick. I was very surprised by that, playing up to that neck injury that Adam Copeland once had. That was a very sick move. Then we get a sequence where Adam Copeland and Penta are on the ring apron. Adam Copeland ends up pushing Penta towards the turnbuckle. Penta ends up super kicking Edge. Penta runs up towards Edge, but Edge ends up catching him and doing a power slam onto the apron. That was very sick. Then afterwards, Adam Copeland is charging up for the spear on the outside. Goes for the spear, but ends up spearing his manager instead of Penta. Penta gets the upper hand, ends up super kicking Edge, goes back into ring, and then goes on the top rope and ends up doing a code red off the top rope. Goes to the pin, but Adam Copeland ends up kicking out. That was a very sick maneuver. That code red was amazing. Then we get the final sequence of Penta ends up trying to go for his finisher. Copeland ends up reversing it. They end up going separate. They end up going to opposite sides of the ring. They both end up going off the ropes. Penta tries to go for a springboard, but Edge ends up catching him midair, spears him for the 1-2-3, wins the match, retains his TNT Championship. Really good match. Really enjoyed that match. Adam Copeland, my mistake, celebrating in the ring. Lights go out. The lights turn back on. Julia Hart and Brody King are in the ring. Brody King attacks Adam Copeland, constantly attacks him. Willow Nightingale comes out for the save, attacks Julia Hart. Then, as she attacking Julia Hart, Brody King ends up pulling Julia Hart away, takes her to the outside, avoiding Willow Nightingale to prevent any damage towards Julia Hart. Adam Copeland ends up recovering, attacks Brody King, and then he ends up getting the upper hand on Brody King. This is basically to progress the story of Adam Copeland versus the House of Black and Willow Nightingale versus Julia Hart. That's going to happen at Dynasty. Very excited for that match too. Love Willow Nightingale. Next up, we got a quick interview segment with Renee, Mark Briscoe, Eddie Kingston. They was talking about their upcoming match at Dynasty, but then get interrupted by Adam Copeland and Willow Nightingale. Willow Nightingale was about to suggest something towards Adam Copeland, but then Silver, her manager, offers Adam Copeland to put up his TNT championship against Willow Nightingale, which I thought was hilarious. That was very funny. But Willow Nightingale interrupts and ends up suggesting that her and Adam Copeland team up against Julia Hart and Brody King. Adam Copeland agrees. So next week, we're going to have Julia Hart and Brody King in a mixed tag team match against Willow Nightingale and Adam Copeland. That should be a very interesting match. Next up, we got the main thing that everyone is talking about of this recent episode of Dynamite. We got the Young Bucks. We got Nicholas Jackson and Matthew Jackson showing the all-in footage of CM Punk and Jack Perry. This starts off with both members are sitting down in a chair. They both mention, the Dynasty match that they have, the finals for the AEW Tag Team Championships. They mentioned the match that the last time they fought FTR at All In, how they lost, how they still got to come back from their loss. They end up mentioning Legacy, how they may be considered the greatest tag team of the generation. Then, as they allude to, the All In tape, Matthew Jackson ends up saying that Jack Perry was a scapegoat in the situation. And Nick Jackson ends up saying that CM Punk tried to make the show all about himself. They didn't say CM Punk's name. They kept on saying the other guy. I'm assuming, of course, they can't say their names. Of course, can't say his name. Probably because, legal reasons, of course. Then they start alluding to the friendship of FTR and CM Punk. But then they end up showing the tape. The tape starts off with CM Punk walking up to Jack Perry. They're talking, they're exchanging words. CM Punk pushes Jack Perry and then chokes him out. And that's it. And they get separated. I don't understand the reason behind this. It doesn't make sense. Especially the incident happened 8 months ago. I don't understand why bring it up now. And it's no surprise that you now bring this footage up after CM Punk threw some shots at you, because CM Punk was recently on an interview talking about his time at AEW and talked about the situation, and now all of a sudden you want to bring up this footage. And this does nothing for AEW. This does nothing. This doesn't make CM Punk look bad, because CM Punk told his story, and what you show in the footage confirms CM Punk's story. This doesn't make CM Punk look bad. It only makes you guys look bad. Then I'm also hearing, I don't know if it's true, but I'm also hearing that AEW is flagging and striking people who are reposting the footage that you put on your own show. I don't know how true that is, but if that's true, that is ridiculous. There's no reason to bring this up. Then Tony Khan is saying that it's storytelling. This is not storytelling. It wasn't storytelling for the past 8 months, but now you want to bring it up? No, this is not storytelling. The only thing this benefits is temporary ratings, and those ratings are not going to stay. Like, this would have made sense if you did it right after the incident, like 8 months ago, but you decided to wait 8 months to finally do it. I don't get it. Don't understand. Doesn't really make sense here. But I'm going to just move on, because I really don't understand what was the goal here, but I digress. But next up, we got the FTR promo. They come out, and they basically kind of say similar things to what I'm saying. Cash Wheeler grabs the microphone, ends up saying, "Why are we showing this? What do you accomplish for showing this, other than having a built-in excuse to why you lost at All In?" He says that him and the wrestlers backstage are sick and tired of hearing about this situation, and they're ready to move on. But instead, we're talking about a situation that happened 8 months ago. They talk about their upcoming match at Dynasty. They talk about how they need to beat FTR, etc. Then Dax ends up getting the mic, ends up mentioning about the Young Bucks, mentioning their power, mentioning how how they built AEW, and they end up mentioning how the Young Bucks constantly talk about how without them there is no AEW. And Dax said that might be true, but he ends up saying that we have something that they'll never get over, and that's being considered the best tag team on the planet. He starts alluding to how at one point they actually cared about AEW, they cared about the company, they cared about what's best for the company. But he said that as of right now, it seems like the only thing they care about is what's best for the EVP. Then he starts cutting a very deep, passionate promo about why they wrestle, why everyone else wrestles for AEW. Talks about them being the alternative, them being the alternative for other wrestlers to have a job, not only having one place to go to, them being, alternatives for the fans. He cut a very deep, passionate promo, and basically, I love this segment, I love this promo, and I agree with them, because why are we talking about this? We should be talking about something else. And speaking of more stuff that we really shouldn't be talking about, but Will Ospreay has a short interview with Renee. He goes out to the live crowd, and Renee's interviewing, and he says there's a rumor going on around saying that I'm afraid of the grind. I don't know where that conversation came from, because I am one of the only guys who travel every week to the UK and America every week and deliver some of the best matches the world has ever seen. Normally, I don't engage in these conversations, but to see the guy that said it is only in the position he's in because, excuse me, my fault. He only in the position he's in because he was grinding the boss daughter. You're in no position to tell me what the grind is all about, because you have no idea what I grind for. Let this be a painful jab back, and this is a reminder that you don't throw stones at an assassin with a machine gun. Now, I saw the clip, what people are referring to. I'm going to be honest. It's kind of a reach. I saw the clip. It's kind of a reach. I really think it's kind of a reach, and I don't understand what was the point of dissing Triple H. I don't get it. And plus, even if it was a diss, I don't think what Triple H said was that serious to the point where it required all of this. It just shows, I'm not going to say immaturity, but I don't know. I just feel like this was not worth it, and I don't think there was no reason to do this. You have a pay-per-view coming up. You should just build on that pay-per-view. Why are you... The main things that people are talking about on the show is about WWE people. That should not be a thing on your show. The main thing people should be talking about is your wrestlers, the people in your company, not someone in other companies. But I just don't understand this, because I saw the clip, what he was referring to. I think it's kind of a reach, and even if he is talking about you, so what? That's how I view it. So what? Because I don't think what Triple H said was that bad, and I feel like it's kind of a reach, but it is what it is. Next up, we got Hook, Chris Jericho, and Shibata versus Shane Taylor Promotions. This match was alright, but I'm gonna skip towards the most important parts. The most important parts of the match. We get towards the end of the match, the ending segment, the ending parts of the match. Shibata's in the ring. He got one of the Shane Taylor promotion guys. It wasn't Shane Taylor, but it was one of the guys in the match. He ends up going for a flying kick, but he ends up kicking Chris Jericho by accident. Then Shibata ends up having... Shibata and one of the members of Shane Taylor Promotions are both on the ground. Shibata's trying to go for the hot tag towards Hook, but Chris Jericho ends up pulling Hook off the ring apron. Chris and Hook are both arguing. Chris Jericho is asking Hook, why is he not listening to him? Shibata gets the upper hand on one of the members of Shane Taylor Promotions. Shane Taylor comes in the ring, punches Shibata. And the member that was in the ring takes advantage and picks up the victory. Then Hook and Chris Jericho both are arguing. Hook is demanding Chris Jericho to just leave him alone. And it looks like, and I don't know where this angle is going. Kind of confused. This is giving me Sammy Guevara and Chris Jericho vibes, and I didn't enjoy that because I felt like that was very boring. It was very lackluster, and this is giving me the same vibe. I understand what they're trying to go for. Chris Jericho trying to be that mentor towards Hook, trying to give Hook advice, kind of like what he was doing with Sammy, but I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I don't get the end game here because if the end game is for Chris Jericho to put over Hook, I don't know how you do that when he already beat Chris Jericho. And the only way I see how to make this interesting is to turn Chris Jericho heel. That's the only way. But I'm not really interested. We'll see where this goes, but I kind of just want this storyline to be over with because I'm not really feeling it. Next up, we got Okada. He has a swash match with a jobber. Not gonna go in depth because it was a swash match. Ends up defeating the jobber. He ends up picking up the microphone afterwards and ends up accepting Pac challenge. So it looks like him and Pac are going to face at Dynasty. Pac comes out, tries to come out to the ring to fight Okada, but the Young Bucks come up from behind and attack him from behind. They end up attacking him, but then FTR comes in the ring and attacks the Young Bucks. But the Young Bucks end done. FTR looks like they're about to get the upper hand, but Okada comes in with a chair, ends up hitting both members with the chair, ends up getting the upper hand. Then the Bucks ends up super kicking FTR, and then they end up hitting up. Then they end up hitting the the EVP trigger. Sorry, messing up my words here. And then they end up standing tall. So this is building up the story of, the Young Bucks, FTR, and then Pac and Okada. They're going to have their match. This was a really cool, really decent segment. Nothing more to really go over. Next up, we got Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa. I forgot exactly what they called. They called this like a champagne. They called this champagne something. I can't remember. But Renee, Toni Storm, and Thunder Rosa are all at the top of the entrance ramp. They have champagne, and they're standing across from each other. They end up pouring glass of champagne. They both have a glass of champagne. Toni Storm throws the drink, to throw the champagne at Thunder Rosa's face, and she starts attacking her, constantly attacks her. She ends up moving away from Thunder Rosa, gets a towel, and starts wiping the towel all over Thunder Rosa's face, messing up her face paint, messing up, the makeup that she has all over her face. Then Deonna Purrazzo comes out for the save. Tries to attack Toni Storm, but Toni Storm ends up hiding behind Luther, her butler. Deonna Purrazzo ends up letting Toni Storm go, tries to pick up, tries to help Thunder Rosa, but Thunder Rosa ends up refusing to help. Deonna Purrazzo got a bit frustrated and ends up saying F her. Ends up saying F her. Really like that. I don't know what they're gonna do with Deonna Purrazzo. I don't know, but I'm a little interested in Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa's match, but not really. Hopefully, they build up more on the feud. Well, it's not really a feud because she just got a number one contendership. End up beating Mariah May for the number one contender for the championship that they're gonna have at Dynasty. But it was a really decent segment. Nothing too much, but hopefully they build up more on that because it doesn't really feel like a rivalry. Like Deonna Purrazzo and Toni Storm, that actually felt like a heated rivalry. This, not so much. Next up, we got Mariah May versus Anna Jay. This was also a decent match. They did some very interesting moves. It was a good back and forth between the two competitors. Came down to the final sequence where Mariah May ends up reversing a sequence. I can't really explain it. Where Anna Jay had Mariah. Oh my God, misconstruing her words. Mariah May on her back, and it was like she was kind of like trying to stretch her out. But Mariah May ends up reversing it, doing a roll-up pin, ends up picking up the victory. After that, Mariah May is celebrating, but Anna Jay ends up coming from behind, choking her out. She's constantly choking her out, not letting go. And then all of a sudden, a woman comes out. I think her name is Mina. I'm not really sure. I kind of forgot her name. She's a AEW debut. Like she debuted today. She's new. Ends up coming out for the save. Anna Jay ends up getting out the ring. And then she ends up like dancing in the ring. Ends up getting some champagne. Ends up giving Mariah May the drink. She was like feeding it to her basically. And then she ends up kissing Mariah May, which I don't understand. I don't know if that's for shock value or this is going to be a storyline, but okay. And Mariah May clearly loved it because afterwards she ends up picking her up and swinging her around. So she clearly enjoyed it, but I don't know if this is going to be a storyline because if it's not, then I don't get the point of having them kiss for shock value, but I guess. Next up, we got Mercedes Monae. She's getting interviewed. They're talking about Julia Hart and Willow Nightingale, talking about the upcoming match that's going to happen in Dynasty. Then she starts mentioning her match that she had with Willow a year ago in New Japan for the I forgot exactly what championship it is, but it was for a certain championship. Talk about how she lost that match and ended up getting injured in that match. Then the guy that's interviewing her ends up asking, who would you rather face between Julia Hart or Willow? Before she answers, the light goes out and she gets attacked. And that's the end of the segment. Now they said on the show that she's not gonna have her first match until Full Gear, which is is that the next pay-per-view? I know she's not gonna have her first match until the pay-per-view after Dynasty, which um I'm not I'm not sure why. I don't get it. And I'm not gonna say mad because I'm not even that big of a Mercedes Monae fan. I'm really not. I think she's a bit overrated, but I understand the appeal of her. But I kind of already know how this is going to go because it looks like Willow Nightingale is going to win a championship. And then Mercedes is going to beat Willow Nightingale because they're already keep mentioning this feud, their match from last year. They keep mentioning it. It's obvious they're going to have a match for the title. And Mercedes is going to get her payback. It's so obvious they're going this route. And I'm not mad at it, but I kind of want Willow to have a reign with it a bit. But I understand why they put the belt on Mercedes, but I don't know. I'm not really feeling Mercedes. I never really felt Mercedes like that. Like I said, I understand the appeal of her, but she don't do it for me. I don't know. Next up, we get the main event. We got Samo Joo versus Dustin Rose. Dustin Rose in an eliminator match. Dustin Rose trying to get his opportunity for a number one contender for the AEW World Championship. This was a decent match, very decent match. Had some interesting spots. Samo Joo ended up making Dustin Rose bleed in his match. He ended up throwing him towards the ring post. Dustin Rose started bleeding. Samo Joo was dominating a good portion of the match. But then eventually Dustin Rose ends up getting a comeback, throwing a few punches, ends up hitting a cold red on Samo Joo. Samo Joo, of course, ends up kicking out. A sequence where Dustin Rose tried to do a bulldog, but Samo Joo ends up reversing it, ends up hitting him with a lariat. Then it was a moment where Dustin Rose ends up hitting Samo Joo. He ends up hitting Samo Joo with a crossroads. That was very interesting. Then it was a sequence where Dustin Rose goes for his AEW World Championship, tries to hit him with it, but the referee was basically telling him, no, don't do it. You're going to get disqualified because if he gets disqualified, he won't get an opportunity at the AEW World Championship. He puts us down in the corner. So then Dustin Rose ends up getting Samo Joo in the corner. He ends up trying to do like a running knee or a running clothesline, whatever. Samo Joo ends up body slamming him. Then Samo Joo tries to grab Swerve Strickland's chain. Tries to use it. The ref won't allow it. The ref ends up telling Samo Joo don't use it. Samo Joo puts it down. The ref ends up picking up the chain, tries to, throw it away. He's easily distracted. Samo Joo ends up picking up the championship that Dustin Rose tried to use that's in the corner, uses it while the ref is distracted, hits him with it, throws it back in the corner, pins him, the ref didn't see it, and picks up the victory. Then after the match, Samo Joo is choking out Dustin Rose, constantly choking him out. He's choking him out, sending a message towards Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland comes out of nowhere, kicks him in the face. Samo Joo is out. He's trying to recover. Swerve Strickland goes to the corner, grabs his chain, wraps the chain around his fist, and punches Samo Joo. After he punches Samo Joo, he then takes the chain, unravel it, and then tries to swing it on Samo Joo while he's on the ground. He missed. Samo Joo rolls out the ring, but he ends up leaving his championship inside the ring. Swerve picks up the championship, holds it up above his head, starts celebrating with it and all. Samo Joo is very furious, and that's the end of today's episode of Dynamite. this was a solid episode, but I'm still don't understand the whole releasing the footage of CM Punk because, like I said, it doesn't make CM Punk look bad. It only makes you look bad. Same thing with Ospreay. I don't understand what was the point of dissing. Um, don't understand the point of dissing Triple H. Don't really understand it. There's really you don't gain anything from this. You just gain a cheap pop, cheap reaction, and temporary viewership. But I digress, I guess. But I'm not the one running the company. But let me know what you guys thought about today's episode of Dynamite. Leave your thoughts and opinions. Let me know if you want to see more AEW Dynamite reviews. But yeah, that's pretty much all I gotta say about this. I thought it was still a decent show, but I feel like some things just didn't need to be said or need to be done. But yeah, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, that's it.